Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at SeatGeek, the best and easiest to use ticket platform out there. They take the confusion out of buying tickets using a 0 to 10 scoring system and a green is good, red is bad color rating system so you and your loved ones get the best deal possible. So whether it's going to see our beloved Redlegs at Great American Ballpark, the Bengals over at Paycor, FC Cincinnati, one of the area college teams, or pretty much anything in between, use promo code Riverfront at checkout and receive $20 off your first order. Click the link in the show notes to download the app and get started. That's Riverfront, one word, for $20 off.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Bengals Show presented by the Riverfront. I am your host, Joe Farsing. Alongside me, as usual, is my good friend and hopefully yours, Greg Neiman. Greg, happy holidays. How are you, sir?
Happy holidays to you as well. I'm good. The beard of knowledge is growing, so my power, I'm getting smarter by the day. So
that's I wondered why you trimmed it. I don't have the patience to grow mine out. That's why I'm not as wise. I will never be as wise as you or Gandalf or Santa or anyone else with a big old burly ass beard. We will be joined here by a guest here shortly. We'll throw him on. He's not unknown to those, but we'll let it be a surprise for those that are tuning in. So exactly. We're adding suspense. Again, if you guys are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, all that fun crap. If you guys listen to the audio feed, rate and review on Apple, on Spotify, on, I don't know, wherever else everyone gets their stuff. That would be fantastic. 5-star reviews only. Also, go check out riverfrontcincy.com. We have added a bunch of awesome, really cool gear. Some Bengals t-shirts, a lot of gear for Riverfront U. Check it out. And a little late for Christmas gifts because we're good at timing like that. I add 5-6 t-shirt designs the week before Christmas when pretty much everyone's done, and it's going to be a struggle to get it shipped in time because I'm a marketing genius.
Hey, they do look good, though, I must say.
I'm proud of them. Again, I had a hell of a lot of fun. I'm learning. My wife is a whiz at all this design software like Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that, and she taught me how to use it, and we've got some cool shit up there. Again, I recommend checking it all out. Hopefully none of it's all too antiquated and irrelevant by the time this comes up, but, we'll see. All right, let's dig into a little bit of a game review. That was a really weird and wild game on Saturday. Bengals won in overtime, 27-24 over the Vikings. Jake Browning pulls magic out of his ass again. What are your initial thoughts on that?
It's now, almost a week later, and I don't understand how the Bengals won that game. And I was sitting 10 rows up from the corner of the end zone where T reached over the pylon. I have no idea how the Bengals won that game. That was exactly how if that's how you need to win games in the playoffs and in big scenarios. You have to win games you're not supposed to win. So to have that ability it was incredible. Words can't really describe because it was just amazing.
Yeah, through 3 quarters, it looked like Jake was kind of turning into a pumpkin, looking like the guy that we kind of thought, that a backup quarterback's going to look like. They had 3 points through 3 quarters. He threw a really bad interception, and I think it was more just off the read. He was expecting the corner to stick with the flat route, but he threw it right to the cornerback. Safety would have picked it off if it wouldn't gotten past him, and you're like, well, it was a fun couple weeks, but, this is, you got a backup quarterback in the NFL that just, there's a reason he's a backup, but no, he came back out scored on 4 out of 5 drives, I think, to end the game. It should have been more than that. There was the third down throw to Tee Higgins over the middle, or not over the middle, downfield that he was literally held down. It would have been a jump ball, but he was held, and I don't understand how you swallow a flag there. You see some of the most absurd ticky-tack fouls called. And this one, the guy's grabbing onto his jersey around the collar until he goes up for it. Yeah. And nothing, infuriating, but whatever. You can stomach it when your team wins.
It almost felt like a LeBron James driving down the lane and you don't get the call because you're just bigger than everybody else, or like Shaq. That's kind of what it felt like on that play. It was definitely pass interference because it was T. The flag doesn't come just because he's a monster. That was clearly pass interference, even live. I mean, everybody knew right away that was pass interference.
Yeah, it was.
Is the dog the guest or?
No, that actually
bring him in. We love it.
No, that's actually my wife trying to climb behind to get some
I thought that
paper.
was the dog. I thought that was the dog.
She's trying to sneak and doesn't realize the angle of view. Yeah, that's my.
I guess I need to apologize now. I thought that was a dog. Oh, my bad.
I have some paperwork on this side of my desk, and she was climbing underneath to grab it, and I didn't even hear her because with the headphones on, and I just see this like. What is going on?
I really thought it was a dog. I apologize. That was not supposed to be. Restart. Okay.
So
Tee Higgins, that was pass interference.
So yeah, that was my wife's noggin's brief cameo in this one. Offense picked it up, even with Jamar going out with the shoulder injury. Josevich had a nice catch on 3rd and 3, caught it short of the sticks, lowered his head, and just plowed through, picked up 5-6 yards. Our guest is now here, a little belated, but we'll let him go here.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, guys.
Strawberry Ice, Jeff Trennepohl. What's happening, brother? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Sorry about that. Yeah, my daughter got her wisdom teeth cut out, so I ran up to Walgreens here to go get the medicine, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would. So my apologies.
No worries. Just getting going here. What were your quick kind of 35,000-foot view thoughts of Saturday's game against the Vikings?
First half stunk. Second half was awesome.
Yeah.
The game play that changed the game. The 3rd down stop at overtime and the 4th down stop. I mean, that gave me hope that maybe we might not be so bad on run defense without DJ Reader. We're still going to be not as good. There's no replacing DJ Reader. I mean,
and they weren't that good to begin with DJ Reader.
Right. So that hopefully maybe gives Zach Carter some confidence going, hey, I can do this. I can play at this level. I mean, I don't know.
On the 4th down stop, Zach Carter folded the center in half. Absolutely just folded him in half. Nick Mullins had nowhere to go. I mean, as soon as he gets the ball, he's got his ass on him, almost knocking the ball loose.
Right.
And he lost a couple inches. So yeah, that was that might have been the best play biggest play of Zach Carter's career so far.
And the other thing is Tee Higgins proven he's a number 1 wide receiver, which I would think we all knew that anyway. But
this was a Tee Higgins roller coaster game for me. It's kind of been with the theme of his 2023 season. It's just been a lot of ups and downs. He had 2, I don't say easy drops, but
massive catches.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But earlier in the game, and it went along with the flow of the team as well, with the game as well. Bengals struggled in the first half. He had a throw downfield that he didn't need to jump. It was one that, like, with his frame.
The one that should have been a pass interference?
No, this was another. We already hit on that one. This is one. It was throw was a little bit high. He didn't need to jump. I think the jump through his timing off went right through his hands. Yeah. And then there's another one over the middle that he dropped. And then it's almost like the bad pass interference snapped him into it, or the bad DPI miss on the throw. Because then in 4th quarter and overtime, he was absolutely balling out. That was I mean, I've been watching Bengals football religiously since I was 8 years old, so 36 seasons now. That touchdown pass might have been the greatest, coolest, pulling it out of your ass play I have ever seen. And the thing is, he was wide open. If Browning could have gotten it, if Mixon hadn't just completely whiffed on the block, I still don't know what the hell he was doing, but if he had any time, he throws it to the back corner of the end zone, and he's wide open. He throws it short of the front corner of the end zone. T comes up to the 2, jumps up, catches it over top Moss's poor number 21. I can't remember his name. And then as he's falling backwards, has the wherewithal to reach around his entire body and break the plane. Go over the pylon, whatever it was. They ruled that it was a good touchdown. And just one of those holy shit, did I actually see that happen? You never see that actually the receiver actually pulling that off. He either gets knocked out or they say he was out of bounds.
I mean, the wherewithal to even try that. I mean, because I heard this on like I said, I listen to multiple podcasts. I can't remember which podcast, but I was told that the Bengals coaches emphasized that don't do that. Don't reach for the end zone, because if it gets knocked out, it's fumbled. Best case, it's fumbled out of bounds. Worst case, it's fumbled out of the end zone. And it's a touchback, which I still think is a stupid rule. I understand why they did it, but I don't. Anyway, I wish I could get rid of that rule.
There's weird. The fumble rules out of bounds are weird anyway.
Yeah, that's one I wish I could get rid of. That's because of the fumble risk. You can't fumble it forward. I get all that.
Yeah.
The best part of that T catch is the stuff you couldn't see on TV, and until they showed the replay. But that's a high school throw. I mean, Jake Browning, and I'm not blaming Jake Browning. Obviously, he's under pressure, but he threw that up. I mean, that's as good as a Hail Mary.
Yeah, absolutely.
He threw it up. Yeah.
And Tee Higgins comes sprinting back for the football. I mean, if that's George Pickens, you think he's going to come make that play? I mean, just to make the catch, that catch is a 10 out of 10 just to catch it.
Yeah.
To do what he did after that is just, I mean, that's icing on the cake. It's one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. I mean, it was one guy taking over the entire play. Nothing about that was right for the Bengals except for Tee Higgins.
It's one of those F it T's down there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the one before that was where he threw it, and I still don't think I think T thought the ball was going to him, the one that TB got. He threw it in between him. Somebody ran the wrong route or did something, because they're both in the same area and they're not supposed to be there. Greg, you're a football coach. I'm not. I know they're not supposed to be the same area. That was.
I think that was a scramble. I think that was a scramble drill, and Tyler just continuing his route across field, seeing him break the pocket.
But I think it was just communication that T and TB did not both go after the ball.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I think one was on scramble drill and one was not. So I think one receiver was on the correct page at that point. Not that you're wrong because you're not in scramble drill. You just didn't quite get on the same page yet.
Right. Yeah, I think T ran his route and Tyler just kept continuing. He saw him break the pocket and just kept his route going the entire. And he actually arced his way kind of back towards the line of scrimmage a little bit, coming across. And luckily T did. I think T caught Tyler out of the corner of his eye right before, because he's looking. You see TB make the catch, and T's like looking over that way, not extending forward. So, but just those are plays that Bengals historically don't make, even when they had good quarterback play from Carson Palmer, from Andy Dalton. They make those plays with Joe Burrow, and now they're making them for Jake Browning. It's crazy. I don't,
The other part of the game I thought that was absolutely massive. The first through third quarter, I thought the stadium felt like the first Saturday game, in a while.
Yes.
When you got to the fourth quarter, and this is before the Bengals started their run, you got to the fourth quarter, and I mean, it was playoff atmosphere, 100%. Those defensive stops, the fans were incredible. I mean, it really was the fourth quarter, not just from the Bengals standpoint, but from the fan standpoint. Everybody just said, it was kind of like, F it, everybody's got to do it now. And the fans really were incredible. I thought the stadium was amazing.
Yeah, it was loud. And the other impressive part to me was when Pratt got that interception, we thought, we tied the game up, or I got the lead. I can't remember what it was. Either way, I think it was to take the lead. Anyway, for the Minnesota Vikings to totally march down the field and score on us, that was deflating. And I know the fans kind of like, oh, crap. But the Bengals didn't give up. And to me, that boasts well for future games, for Saturday going to Pittsburgh and playing Baltimore, playing in Kansas City. I mean, to come back from that, let's be honest here. Andy Dalton, Marvin Lewis teams, they would have folded up the tent and then been done after that play. This team doesn't. And so that's the resiliency that this team has, and that gives me hope that we can win enough games to get into the playoffs. Then hell, we could win a playoff game or two, because once you get in, dude, you never know what's going to happen. You never know. You just got to get in.
The most important thing in the playoffs and to get to the Super Bowl is quarterback efficiency. They're getting that and then some. I mean, Jake Browning, since he's been the second most efficient quarterback in the NFL after Brock Purdy. So just as everyone thought, literally Mr. Irrelevant, and an undrafted free agent who had 0 snaps in what's year 5, year 6. I'm not sure where. I mean, he's 27. So that's exactly, if you told someone at the beginning of 2022 who the most efficient quarterbacks would be the next year, everyone would think Brock Purdy and Jake Browning, right?
Yeah.
No one would have thought you're talking out of your ass.
Yeah. Especially
they were second. They were second and third on my list behind Burrow. That's it. I mean, that's all I had in front, behind him. So,
okay, if Greg, if that's true, you need to go play some bet somewhere.
Hey, I'm a hell of a coach. I'm telling you.
I mean, he did tell me Joe Flacco was going to go for 300 yards in back-to-back games.
Greg,
no,
you gotta tell me these things so I can play bets on them for 4, not after.
I gotta tell myself because I gotta remember myself.
Come on, Nostra, dumbass, get it right. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Exactly.
DJ Reader went out second play of the game. Run defense struggled as expected, even with Madison out of the game. They still ran for it. Chandler had, oh goodness, he had well over 100 yards.
Yeah, he was
closed out the box score. Yeah, 23 for 132 yards, 5.7 yards per, 30 yards for longest reception. It was ugly, but Bengals run defense has been ugly all year long with DJ Reader. What I'm hoping is now teams are going to try a different, instead of trying to attack the perimeter, which is where everyone's gashing them for huge yards, maybe they're going to try to attack them up the middle. And I think the Bengals have better effort. If they try to go up the middle, Bengals have better chances,
That's what Minnesota did right off the bat. Right when DJ went out, they went right up the middle.
Yeah, and exactly. And
started stopping them, which was good. A good sign.
Yeah. After a little while.
After a couple gashes. But yeah, they did stop them, Joe, eventually.
Right. Also, can't forget BJ Hill with one of the freakiest, flukiest interceptions ever. 2 weeks in a row, defensive tackle with a pick. What was Nick Mullins doing on that play? I don't know how well you guys have seen. I mean, you guys were both there at the game. I don't know how much you guys seen of the replays afterwards. He was a quarter second away from being down. I mean, that would have been intentional grounding. What is he doing?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
I don't know. I got nothing for you.
I got nothing. I mean, I don't know why quarterbacks do this. And this is the one thing, when you talk to young quarterbacks or inexperienced quarterbacks or whatever, and Joe Burrow's talked about this a lot. Sacks are a stat. Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes living to fight another down is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's something Joe needs to learn.
And you can take a sack, especially depending on where you're at in the game. You need to know time score. You need to know what's going on, what the down and distance is. When can you take a sack? When can you not take a sack? And the ones that get that right tremendously help their team to victory. Because a play like that, I mean, you take that away, you're looking at a whole different kind of game.
Yeah, if it's third down and you're in the red zone, by all means, extend that play as long as possible. Take a sack if need be, because you're within, maybe not chip shot, but you're within an easy field goal. Now, if you're at like the 35 or 40 and you take a sack on third down, probably not. But yeah, it's right. Taking a sack isn't the end of the. This was third down. It was third down to 7 at the 22. If he gets sacked at the 30. Then it's a 48-yard kick instead of a 40-yard kick. And a 48-yard kick in today's NFL isn't it's not chip shot, but that's a kick you expect your guy to make 90% of the times.
Yes. And so going into that play as the quarterback, you should be saying, okay, I'm not going to force it because I don't want to force something for a pick, which is exactly what he did. You just either take the sack, or if I'm going to throw it, I'm throwing it away. So that I'm not gonna turn the ball over. 3rd and 7 on the 40. Now you can force a ball, and a pick isn't a big deal. But if you don't know those things situationally, it's massive.
Well, right, and he might not have known it. It shows he didn't know it situationally, which comes to not playing time. Being a backup quarterback, and that's what I think Jake Browning has done so well for the most part. He's got it up here more than I think most backup quarterbacks have, and this will be his 4th start in his NFL career.
This will be his Jake's or
Jake's. Yeah. Jake's.
Okay, yeah. This will be his 5th. Yeah. So, and it's just you need to have that awareness, and Browning seems to have that, thank God. But the 2 touchdown passes that Nick Mullins had, both of them were just passes that you absolutely should not be throwing as a quarterback. The first one, again, he's almost on the ground. I mean, he's parallel with the ground. Throws it to Jordan Addison's shoelaces, and he picks it out and beats the guy and then runs it in from like 25 yards out. The other one is, what do you never do as a quarterback? Greg, what's rule number one as a quarterback? When do you not throw the ball?
Late, over the middle.
And he threw it late over the middle to Jordan Addison for a 1-yard touchdown pass that Pratt had good coverage. It just, he threw it to a good spot where only a receiver could get it. Since the Bengals won, I'm not too sad because I had Jordan Addison on my team, and he he got me 25 some odd points. So that's one of those like, okay, cool, I'm okay with that. But
my fantasy choice came down to Jordan Addison or Tee Higgins. Of course, I chose T, but it worked out okay. I did all right.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't lose too much. Maybe 4 or 5 points on on yardage in the catch. So, Miles Murphy is a problem for other teams. We've been saying this all year long, and when he wasn't playing well, like Greg, you and I were like, listen, like this, he was not drafted to make an impact in the first half of his rookie season. Now, come back to us in the second half of the season. If he's not making an impact, if he's not, not getting reps or anything, then talk to us. But he was drafted to be rotational help in the second half and set up for 2024. He's that guy. He has such a quick first step. I think the only Bengal with the quicker first step is Trey Hendrickson. He has the strength. What's that?
Trey showed that where he got called in that offsides, which I still don't think he was offsides.
I don't either. Like initially when I saw it, it looked like it, but then when you saw it, no, he moved like he jumped the snap, but he wasn't in the neutral zone when the snap went off.
Yeah,
one of those that took away a fucking pick six by Pratt.
Can we not have these things be reviewable? I mean, offsides of all things should be reviewable. I'm not saying I want pass interference. I do not want that. I don't want defensive holding. I don't want some things that when you slow it down, it can kind of change the way you feel about it live. But offsides is not that is black and white.
And
there's a difference. Yeah, there's a difference between a judgment call, which is holding, DPI, OPI, stuff like that, or something that's cut and dry, black and white in a rule book like offsides. Yeah, offsides, encroachment, line up in the neutral zone, shit like that, to where we have the technology. We can see where they're lined up. Like you can go down frame by frame. Like this is the technology we have this day and age.
If you can review a touchdown or a first down, you can review an offsides in the exact same and make the team challenge. If they want to challenge.
It should be quick too. It should not take that long. You just go camera right down the line. I mean, within the first 5 seconds, most time we could go, oh yeah, he's offsides, or oh no, he's not. I mean,
now they've got cameras at pylons at the first down markers. Put one at the at the stick. The yardage marker and put one down there just so you've got an eye right down the line. That seems something easily.
Just put one on the line of scrimmage and oh my God, we fixed it. Genius, brilliant.
Yeah. And I don't
Greg
want.
Not only is the Nostradamus, he's also fixing the NFL. I mean, Greg, dude, you are the man.
Can you run for
industry? And I'm just here to help.
Can you run for Congress or Senate or something? I mean, you live over in the bluegrass, so I can't vote for you. But I mean, I would definitely promote the hell out of you.
I think I'd have to change my look for Congress. I think.
You're good. You're good.
You look like the everyman. Everyone would love it. All right, guys.
What's the movie where the guy builds the ark? He's got the beard.
Evan Almighty.
Yeah, Evan Almighty. I got this. We can get this done.
I was saying if you go to my wrestling routine, you look like one of the Briscoe brothers.
Okay. I got that.
Them boys. Just need the tooth, loosen some teeth, and there you go.
Yeah,
anyway.
I knock a couple out.
Yeah, I don't know how.
All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right, guys. Quickly, let's get into our weekly awards here. Again, us with the production value, we have our weekly awards screen, like our graphics. Jeff, we have stepped our game up since the last time you were on here.
I'm very.
We are, yeah. We are. When you've got a budget as big as ours, $0.00. It's exactly
big as mine.
Exactly.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine. Damn it! Sorry.
All right, the weekly Joe Esposito Award for Football Excellence. All right, that's enough of that. Jeff, who do you have for the Joe Esposito Player of the Week award?
It's got to be T. I'm sorry, I'm taking the low hanging fruit. You give me first pick. It's got to be T. I mean, with the play at the end and the go ahead touchdown. I mean, it's got to be him. I mean, it's either him or Jake, but I'm going to go T.
Yeah, I mean, T's that catch made up for any snafus, any issues that were earlier in the game. So
year is whatever that catch is.
It's short list of catch of the year. Greg, who do you have?
Just to be different, I'm going to go with a guy that, anybody that has a nickname, you're a dog. Money Mac. I mean, made a bunch of big kicks. Too many times in Bengals history, Tee Higgins would make that play with 38 seconds left, and we'd miss the extra point. So,
or we'd have the long snapper go out.
The fact that we got to overtime, I'll go ahead and throw some love at Money Mac because he was nails. That was those are massive kicks, and everybody just thinks, oh, you win in overtime because he made a 42-yarder. Well, I mean, go be the only guy on the field everybody's looking at and hit it from 42 when everybody's coming after you. I mean, he's got it.
Are you talking?
Yeah, he's ice water in his veins.
Yeah,
it's the extra point. So I'll go back to the Denver game. I don't
remember. Oh God, Shane Graham, 2006.
Yeah, we run all the way down the field, got the touchdown. All Shane Graham's got to do. God love you, Shane. You've been on my show a couple times. I love you, but damn it, you missed the extra point. I'm like, there was. I punched a hole in the wall over there. It's matched up. I was so mad. As we were fighting for our lives to try to get into the playoffs, it's like, anyway.
Luckily, I was at my brother's house. I was at someone else's house, so I wasn't able to play. I'm gonna say wasn't able. The thought to punch a wall wasn't in my my brain because I would have gotten my ass kicked.
There was no thought process there. It was more of just anger.
It's okay. It's you're allowed.
I would have been much more likely to punch the wall being at somebody else's, especially a family member's. If I was at my sister's, oh man, I'd have punched all four walls. I'd have been like, God.
Actually, I think actually it was my wife's aunt and uncle. So that's that's if it's my family, okay, cool. But her family, like, nah. I'm surprised they didn't even like me to begin with. I don't want them to have any more fuel.
Ammo.
It's not a Kentucky. It's not a Kentucky reunion until somebody punches a hole in the wall, right, Greg?
Yeah, exactly. That is true. That is true.
I thought Kentucky reunions usually ended up as a singles mixer. Hey, for my.
Greg's just taking it like, all right, whatever, get all the Kentucky jokes in there, Greg.
My player of the game is Tanner Hudson. Again, 5 targets, 5 catches, 49 yards. Didn't have a huge game. Didn't get in the end zone, but he's just been reliable. And again, I know you put the question out there, Jeff, on your socials. What should the Bengals do? I think they bring him back and bring someone in, draft someone, early in the draft, and you've got Hudson to hold down the starting spot and then take over as tight end too. I want to see him use more 12 personnel. I think they've been very effective using 12 personnel, especially with using the strengths of Drew Sample, as a blocker. But if you can make yourself less predictable, you bring 2 guys in and you could run the ball out of that formation. You can throw the ball, especially if you have 2 pass catchers. So,
I mean, here's a concept. If we could have a tight end who can block and catch, and when you put him in there, you're not sure which one he's going to do. It'd be great because usually Tanner's in there. He's in there to receive the ball.
He's rare. He as of last week, and I could probably check it real quickly here, but that involves actually looking. He still doesn't have a grade from PFF on pass blocking, meaning that he's out in a route every time he's in the game. So that's kind of a little bit of a giveaway.
I thought he was an actual halfway decent pass blocker because
he might be. Who knows?
What I read, he blocked with the Giants. He blocked when Saquon was out there a lot. Yeah. That's what I read. Now I don't know what the PFF grade or anything of that was, but that's what I thought.
Okay, he had 1 pass blocking rep last week, and PFF gave him a 39.9, like 1 rep. Let's throw that in the garbage. That's not.
I would argue the tight end production has been phenomenal. I mean, I think Drew Sample has become super useful, and the fact that everybody knows he's so good at blocking, whether that's run or pass, whatever it is, has opened up Drew Sample to catch the ball. And Drew, you got to give him credit. His hands have become much more reliable. I mean, you would see him with just catastrophic drops, like, bro, I can catch that ball. And now, I mean, he is making plays, catching the ball and getting getting additional yardage. Like, I love what Sample's doing. I still wish he was a 4th-round pick instead of a 2nd-round pick, because I think he'd be adored by everybody.
Yeah.
But with Sample and Hudson, I love the mix they have. I don't have a problem with them drafting a young guy next year if that's what they decide to do. But if you give me those two guys, especially when you get in, next year into Burrow's offense, he's not a big tight end guy anyways. And I think those guys provide just enough pop and enough variance in what they do that you can still be very multiple with those two guys.
You know what? People always say that Burrow's not a big tight end guy. I mean, I don't. It's not his go-to, but if they're open, he'll throw you the ball. I mean, look what who's the tight end we had last year?
Hurst.
Hurst, thank you. Hurst. He had a career year, so I mean,
everybody says Uzama is not an athletic. He is not a pass catcher, and he made him a shitload of money, and he got 400 yards receiving 2 years ago.
And I don't necessarily know if he's not a tight end guy. We got so many other weapons,
Yeah, you only have one ball. It's whether it's allocation of resources. I think next year the composition of the team is going to be different. So it wouldn't surprise me if they use the tight end more.
I don't think Joe gives a crap who he throws the ball to. If you're open, he's throwing it to you.
Get open, exactly. Yeah. So now per PFF for the season, he has Tanner Hudson has 1 pass blocking rep on the season total. And that was last week. He's got 19 run block reps, and he's got an 82.2 grade. Again, PFF, do with that what you will. Obviously, they have their own stuff that they're looking at, but grades pretty well as a run blocker. So, I'd like to see him use him more so that it's not telegraphing, but offense is rolling. So, but like we say, with the good comes the bad. With the Joe Esposito comes the Randy Watson.
That boy is good. Good and terrible.
The Randy Watson Award for least valuable player. I have to go, and this isn't so much for his contributions on the field or with the ball in his hands, so much as pass blocking. Joe Mixon. I don't know. Do you guys ever watch JT O'Sullivan's Quarterback School on YouTube?
I have, not lately though, but I have watched it. Yes.
He does such a great job. I mean, he spends an hour on each quarterback each week. And so, I was watching Jake Browning, and the amount of times, and he didn't call him up by name, he called him up by number. The amount of times that 28 is missing on a block. There was one when protection was called out perfectly. There was someone coming through I think it was the B gap between left tackle, left guard. Mixon was aligned, like in the shotgun. He moved him and realigned him right in front of the gap. Snap comes, someone comes blitzing through the hole. Mixon looks.
I'll be back. Hang on a second.
Okay. We're getting a visitor from Jeff's K9. So, guys coming right in his face. Mixon looks to the left, to the right, to the left, right, left again. Leaks out of the backfield while the guy's coming right at him. It totally misses the block, and luckily Browning was able to escape and throw it back to Mixon of all people and pick up a few yards to make it like from 2nd and 7 to like 3rd and 3. I think that was the snap before Yosevach had the conversion. But there are a lot of other plays where we know Joe Mixon is not a good pass blocker. It especially stuck out this past week when you've got a team with the Vikings that they're going to line 7-8 guys up on the line. They're either going to rush 6 guys, 7 guys, or they're going to rush 3 guys. So you need alert blockers in there. And he was just terrible.
Yep. Just
looked awful at it. And again, like I don't want to harp on him too much, but again, PFF gave him a 29.2 pass blocking grade on 12 snaps. Somehow Chase Brown got a 5.3 pass blocking grade on 1 snap, but I think he got caught for holding on that. So I guess that's why. But that's pretty impressive that you get dinged that much on 1 snap.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised you get points if you hold. I mean, how do you do worse?
He was in position, I guess. I mean, you get credit for that. I mean, it was
okay.
I don't know. Who do you have for your Randy Watson, Greg?
I'm going to go off the wall here because I thought everybody played well enough at times that I don't know anybody really necessarily deserves it. So I'm going to last chance to give him an award. I'm going to go ahead and give it to DJ Reader. Just the situation, I think, is going to be, and it's going to be hurtful. I mean, it's not often you lose a defensive tackle and the whole stadium is like, dude, that's not good. Like,
Yeah.
this is bad. So I'm giving this award to DJ Reader out of the goodness of my heart in the Christmas spirit. This is a good award because you're so good. It's that big of a loss that he is unfortunately out for the season. So that's it. That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, and that was second play of the game, and that just, the guy's such an awesome guy. Never mind his contributions on the field. He's the best run stuffing and gives so much juice on pass rush. Such a good player, but he's an even better person, a funny guy, and it's just, you hate seeing that. I mean, this late in the season, this is the second time a quad injury's taken him out. I mean, his first season with the Bengals, same thing, and it absolutely sucks ass. There's nothing, no other way to put that. So.
Yeah,
He's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we had a UPS delivery here, and all hell is breaking loose. So it's what happens when you don't actually have you don't have a studio. It's your basement. You know, stuff happens. So.
Understand. You missed earlier. My wife snuck through, like crawled behind, and Greg thought it was the dog walking behind because you just see this. You just see this like object going behind my chair.
It's this object. Yeah. That's probably a good way to put it.
So of course it's his wife. So what's the worst thing you could possibly say? I said, is that your dog back there? Of course. I mean, what could you say that's worse?
Duh.
So, yeah.
Open mouth, it's her foot.
Yeah, 100%.
So glad I never sent out that Christmas card, Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jeff, who do you have for your Randy Watson least valuable player of the week?
See,
I know you're a lot more positive. You are a lot more positive than we are, and that's cool.
I'm trying to think.
But we're assholes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't. I would say Zach Carter, but he played. He made that stop.
Huge snap. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first one that popped in my head after replacing DJ because, like I said, they ran the ball right up the middle on us. But he came back. So it's somebody who. But then I'll probably have to go with him, I guess, because it kind of goes with your mixing along with him not being able to pass block, but he did, scored a touchdown and all that stuff. So I'll probably go with Zach Carter. I'll probably go with him. No offense, Zach, at all.
It's someone has to get it. So there's sometimes you have to pick it to someone who might not necessarily deserve it, but I do want to give a shout out. Mike Hilton and Jermaine Pratt had huge games. They were both graded 92 and above per PFF, like ridiculous. Mike Hilton's actual lowest grade in all the categories was pass rush, and we know how well he can come off the edge. I mean, that guy, for being, again, he's listed at 5'9". There's no way in hell he's 5'9", and he's listed at 180, and I don't think he's 100.
I sit next to him. He comes up to my shoulder.
He's like he's got to be 5'6", 165.
Yeah. And he hits people. He hits
taking down Derrick Henry, taking down Josh Allen, who's a goddamn horse.
Yeah,
and just absolutely lit those guys up, take them down one-on-one. That guy, I love that guy.
That's where you're wired different. That's not normal to be able to do it because I'm bigger than he is, and I couldn't take those guys down. He just lights them up, man.
Kamikaze, absolute kamikaze.
Yeah. He's a guy you walk in, you walk onto the field before the game, and you look over and you're like, okay, that dude right there, that's a dog. I mean, you see it on film. You're like, that guy's a dog. He might be 5'6". He might be 6'1". It doesn't matter. He's gonna whoop your ass. He's a dog. That dude.
To see someone that size on a field, you're like, okay, what does he do? What does he bring that overcomes that lack of size? And he's going to be in your face all game long.
Yeah,
he's incredible.
All right, quick look at the division here. Ravens, they have.
We got the basement. Woohoo! Sorry.
Yes, Bengals are out of the basement. Again, being in the basement in the AFC North isn't exactly the worst thing in the world. It's better than being in the first place in the NFC South, but you're getting in the playoffs. Ravens are 11-3. They beat the Jags, eliminated the Bengals and the Steelers from the AFC North race. Still no three-peats in the history of this division. It's because there are three teams that are just historically really good. The Bengals are a little more roller coaster, but there's at least two teams. Like there are no Patriots. There's no Chiefs to where one team is going to just absolutely roll through the division year after year after year, and that's the best thing about this.
That's why it's the best division of football, if you ask me.
Exactly. It's you don't know who's going to be good season to season. Like, well, you know that like if the Browns can get their shit together, I mean they have great personnel guys if they can keep the talent on the field instead of either in the training room or suspended because they like to keep their hands more than it shouldn't be.
I mean, you could argue the Browns have, if you took away quarterback, the Browns have the best roster in the NFL. You could argue that.
You could argue that.
That's not a bad argument. I mean, they've got the best offensive line. Nick Chubb, I think, is the best running back. I mean, Christian McCaffrey absolutely has an argument, but I think Nick Chubb is the best. Myles Garrett is the most disruptive defensive player in football.
But do you believe in Joe Flacco? That's the thing. Do you think this Joe Flacco magic can continue? I personally don't, because Joe Flacco's had one amazing year, and he had a great year the year they won the Super Bowl, but that was really it. He was more. That
was 12 years ago. That was a long time ago.
And he was more of a game manager than a guy you put the game on his shoulders. I mean, the Ravens won because of defense. They didn't win because of Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
What do the Browns need? What do the Browns need out of a quarterback? They need a game manager, hand the ball off, even if it's Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
Their defense is going to play well.
But he's been making throws the last couple of weeks, Greg.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, where'd Jerome Ford go to college?
Alabama. If you want to know where he signed his national letter of intent, that would be Alabama.
Where was he drafted? What school was he drafted out of?
He went to Alabama. He transferred. This transfer portal garbage.
You see.
Thank you. Thank you. Jeff has it covered.
I'm really glad I had the Alabama bag that I could pull that out.
He had to come north to become a star.
Exactly.
So anyway, Ravens play the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Ravens are pissed because they're underdogs. Like, who gives a shit? Just win the game. Like, 49ers are playing better than any other team, and they're at home. So you guys are going to be underdogs. Just, who cares?
Both lose.
Yeah.
I hate both of them.
It makes the Bengals win look that much better, but versus the Niners.
Everybody keeps talking how great the 49ers are and how great Brock Purdy is. I'm like, go watch it when he played us. I know they were down Christian McCaffrey, or no, they were down Debo, and they were down Williams, their left tackle. I know that, but they had everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Their ass.
Browns beat them too. So
I mean, this whole 40, and I hate the sucky Niners, so this comes my bias of hatred. This whole thing of, oh my God, like Greeny on his show says, it's the 49ers Invitational. I don't buy that. The 49ers, something happens. They can get beat in the playoffs. I believe they can.
Well, they struggle with injuries, just like just like the Ravens do when it comes down.
Make Brock Purdy beat you, and you will beat the 49ers.
Has there ever been a better year for the thought process of just get in? Because with what we've seen this year with quarterbacks and injuries and just get in and watch out. I mean, if a couple injuries happen to a couple teams, all of a sudden the Bengals with Jake Browning, you're like, I could see it. I mean, there's not a multitude of teams that you're like, oh, unbeatable. I mean, when you start naming off the top teams in the NFL, you go San Fran, Dallas, Baltimore. I mean,
if the Bengals are healthy, which I mean, when I'm saying healthy, I mean all our offensive weapons and the way Jake Browning's playing, we can beat anybody. I mean, the way this offense is playing right now the defense, like we talked, that's the part that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Our run defense gets better, but offensively, we're doing what we thought we should have done all year. We're putting 30 points up a game. So offensively, we can play with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree. You get in, Greg, just get in. That's all I'm saying. Just get in. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
On the Browns 9-5. They eked out a win over the I don't know if they really won so much as Chicago lost it. Flacco threw for 300 some odd yards, but he also had 3 interceptions. We touched on, are we buying Joe Flacco, or do we think that he's doing just enough to, like?
Well, he's doing.
He threw 3 interceptions, so he tried to throw it away.
Yeah, but he also threw over 300 yards, so you have to give him credit there. I don't think it's sustainable, to be honest with Joe Flacco.
So I've watched his last couple games, like significant snaps of them.
I'm sorry.
I've watched I thought you didn't hear me for a second. I got it. But he's legitimately throwing the football at a high level. These throws, like, I know we're saying he's a game manager, and I completely agree. But he's
not playing like that right now. I'll give him that.
He's playing above game manager level, and I think, to me, he looks really comfortable. and he's in an offense where they're not asking him to do what he's doing. So when he does it, it's just extra.
And he's got an elite arm. He's always had that. He can make throws that lots of guys can't make just because of his arm.
I mean, he's a huge guy. I mean, he's 6'6", 230 pounds, and he's 38 years old. I mean, he's not a kid by any means, but yeah, I mean, he's still able to spin it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also likes to throw the ball to the other team. So
keep it up.
The teams, when they do that, they need to take advantage of it and not freaking lose like the Browns or the Bears did.
Exactly.
That was embarrassing. Justin Fields, I mean, they've got to give up on Justin Fields. He can't read a field. I mean, he's not an NFL quarterback, unfortunately.
I mean, the lucky thing for the Bears is they will have pick 1-1 because Panthers traded them the pick last year so they could make the wrong selection at quarterback. So they'll have the ability, and I don't know if I'm sold on either of the guys that are at either Drake May or Caleb Williams or whoever you want to put up there. And this is another team, and we're talking draft, but I mean, they'll be able to answer that question. If they decide that Justin Fields isn't that guy, they'll have the pick to go out and draft whoever they want to. So at least there's that. But
that's the funny thing. As I always go back to this is the draft. Like Caleb Williams last year would have been the overwhelming number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Last year, it's kind of like when he's the USC's quarterback.
Mark
he's on
Sanchez?
Fox. No. Before him, he's on Fox now. Game day.
Leinart?
Yeah, Matt Leinart. So
Yeah.
Leinart, if Leinart had not come out, if he had come out the year before he came out, he would have been the overall number 1 pick.
Yeah.
If they Caleb Williams, they did, and they made himself worse. Now Caleb Williams made money because he got NIL stuff. That's what the interesting thing is from year to year, like, oh, this guy is a can't miss number 1 overall pick. Now this year it's like, well, we'll see. He might, he's still gonna be in the top. He's still gonna be the second, the worst case, second quarterback taken. I think.
Yeah, he'll be top 5.
Yeah. It's just interesting how it changes from year to year. Sorry.
I'll take that bet. I say Caleb Williams outside the top 5.
Really?
I think it really depends on who ends up where.
Yeah.
And I have to see who needs a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think Drake May and I think the dude from LSU go before him.
Daniels, okay.
Yeah, I really do.
He threw himself way up the list. So anyway, Steelers, last place of the division, turned a 13-0 lead into a 30-13 boat racing, and God, it's just coming off the end of the Bengals game on Saturday afternoon, and then getting to roll into that and seeing the very next game.
It was heartbreaking.
Steelers, oh man, it just absolutely sucked. Things have gotten so bad with Things have gotten so bad they're turning to Mason Rudolph at quarterback.
Rudolph the red-nosed Mason. It's very sucky quarterback. Oh.
It's fitting that it's the week of Christmas and he's they're turning to Rudolph.
Yeah. I don't like the sound of that. Actually, that sounds.
Well, they're turning to Rudolph, and Trey Henderson's going to turn into Blitzen.
Well, you know why his nose is red? It got beaten by his own helmet by Myers Miles Garrett.
Exactly.
I love that Myles Garrett is now the nicest guy in the NFL.
Right, and there's a lot more to that, but yeah, Myles Garrett is a legit cool dude. I just wish he didn't play for that team up north.
Yeah, more power to him. Everybody deserves a second chance. More power to him. He's done it the right way.
Well, and if you hear the story behind that, there's also, supposedly some racial epithets thrown around. And if someone said what he's alleging said, absolutely.
I'd be swinging a helmet too.
Next time you take his helmet off, make sure his head is inside of it.
Yeah.
And club everyone else. So no, that's if that's what. Yeah, absolutely. I'm cool with that.
You should do violence here, but that's what we do.
Oh, there are certain times when violence is the answer. When someone's throwing around racial or homophobic epithets, by all means, dude, you sign your own death warrant when you throw that shit around. So, quick news and notes about the Bengals injuries. Jamar is week to week. He's been ruled out for Saturday's game, unfortunately. Sprained AC joint, I guess, is the official word. The DJs, Reader and Ivy, are both on injured reserve. The only DJ that came out unscathed, I think, was DJ Tanner. Full House reference for those that aren't paying attention.
I actually knew what that was.
When did we get her? That was cool. I didn't know we got her off the practice squad. Is that when we picked her up?
I think it's funny that the actress actually married a hockey player. Married Valerie Beret. I saw that. I'm like, dude, hang on. That really? No, she couldn't even marry the good Beret. I mean, that's Pavel Beret was the better one. But anyway, Bengals did make a signing. They signed Travis Bell off of Atlanta's practice squad. He's defensive tackle depth. I would assume he's probably going to be dressed on Saturday. I don't know how much. He's still good. He's going to be playing behind Josh Tupou. I actually wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if they activate Dominique Davis, who's huge. I mean, that guy's similar size to, he's like 6'3", 335 or something. Flashed in preseason, been stashed on the practice squad ever since. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him, just a big, large body. But as Tyler Shelvin proved, you have to be bigger than just a fat ass to make an impact on an NFL roster. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think the Bengals can do some things now that you've seen what Miles Murphy is. Sam Hubbard, I think maybe you can kind of play around with some of that a little bit. Obviously not going to be playing the one technique, but
yeah,
I do think they have some options now.
Yeah, it helps. Murphy is a huge, like he's a very big bodied guy. He's not a.
He's gonna get a lot more snaps. I'm wondering how much if they kick Sam more on the inside and
that's what I'm saying. Move Sam down inside to the one.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe switch him over to the 3 technique, and if BJ can withstand a few snaps there. Jeff, I know you got your own show to go forward to. We'll skip ahead to our predictions here before we go into the game breakdown. Just because I like you, what do you have for your prediction for Saturday's game?
Of course, I got 27-14 Bengals. I think we're going to get out, and I just got to feel we're going to get out there, get the lead, and make them chase us, and they're not going to catch us. I'm pretty confident going into this. There's also in the back of my head is Bengals record, Zach Taylor's record against backup quarterbacks, but let's hope we don't see another Flight White, Jets game, and Rudolph.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, Rudolph doesn't, learn how to fly. And
you had to throw in Mike White. God.
And hopefully, Trey Anderson can be a Blitzen, and he can be Rudolph.
Hey Jeff, before you get out of here, real quick, where are you going to be tomorrow at 5:30?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be at 5:30 with that guy right there. That guy. We're going to be a live show at Brink Brewery. Live at 5:30. We'll be giving away Bengal tickets. It's ZTV online, ZTV Cincinnati. You can go there and register for Bengals Browns tickets. We'll be giving away stuff from Common Threads there as well. So it'll be a lot of cool stuff. Come there, Jack by Joey Beer, hang out, make fun of Joe. Don't make fun of me. Joe's really easy to make fun of. But
that's fine. I can handle it.
But hopefully you guys will show up. Greg, are you coming? Are you going to come and cross the river?
I'm down. I'm ready.
All right, come on, 5:30. I'll get you a Jack by Joey. You can have, I got a couple of them.
College Hill.
It's really hard to point in the right direction on these Brady bumps.
I know it's like that. You're over there, but you're actually over there, and
I pointed the wrong way.
Jeff's down there.
Times.
Yeah. Jeff's down there.
Yeah.
What the hell? Why am I?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's like, what'd you say on the late night Reds? You were Marsha Brady. I don't know.
I was Carol Brady because we had so many people. We did the Christmas song draft, and we had 7 people, and I was Carol Brady because I was in the top middle. So
shout out to Chad, the elite Christmas in Harlem elite first pick. Just saying.
He jumped in right before me. That wasn't going to be my pick number 1, but he got it before he had a chance. So
I'm taking that one. All right, boys, I gotta go. Joe, I'll see you tomorrow. Greg, I'll see you tomorrow. You're come too. So
I can do that.
If you're here, I'll kick Joe out. And I'll talk to you sometimes too.
Fun by me. Let's give me more time to drink.
There you go.
See you, brother.
Take it easy.
All right. Now he's back. Now we can have real fun. No, I'm just kidding. This week's game, another Saturday game. So Saturday games are still so weird. Like I'm fine. Like it's not like it's a big deal. It's you're still getting a full week. It's just weird to me. Back-to-back weeks on Saturday, but they're now Bengals are 3-point favorites heading into Pittsburgh Saturday 1:00. What are your initial thoughts before we get into keys of the game on this one?
My initial thoughts are I'm very, very nervous with the spread that Vegas sent out at -2 for the Bengals. That's not right. The Bengals
on the road against Pittsburgh.
They should be a bigger favorite than that, in my opinion, which scares me because Vegas knows all. But to me, what the thing that really scares me is now you're giving Pittsburgh a whole week to prepare for DJ Reader being out. So Minnesota, he goes down, early in the game. I get that. but you didn't spend all week practicing like DJ Reader's going to be out and we're going to attack this area as much as we possibly can. So you only have so much built into it that you're going to attack, with that. I think a team that has a week to prepare, they're going to draw some stuff up to really isolate that spot. So that has me, a little worried, and I think rightfully so. And then obviously Jamar Chase being out that's a massive loss. And I know the Bengals survived with Jamar being out late in the game against Minnesota, but again, if you can game plan against the Bengals where Jamar's not going to be out there, it changes some of the things you're going to do defensively, and now you can shade coverage to T, or you can you can take things away. So I am nervous about those couple things. Now the good news, the thing we can rest on is they do have Mason Rudolph at quarterback, and he's not good. So hopefully he just continues on his career path of mediocrity. I think would be giving him too much credit. But,
that's kind. That's really kind.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean that has me feeling good, but I do think that if for the fans out there that think the Bengals are going to go in there and walk over the Steelers, we are going to have some holes that we haven't had to deal with yet. It's one thing when it happens in game. It's another thing when they have a week to prepare. So you still got to give the Steelers credit. They find ways to win games. So I am a little nervous about the DJ Reader absence and the Jamar Chase absence.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, the Bengals have been talked all offseason, and we talked early in the season about how good how good is the Bengals depth. We thought this was the deepest team. It didn't look so through the early up to the middle part of the season, and now as guys are starting to drop like flies, you're actually starting to see, and maybe the depth is pretty good, but this is a totally different animal. You're playing now without 3 of your top 5 players. I mean, obviously Joe and Jamar, that's players 1 and 2. They're your 2 best players on your roster. Then Trey, T, and DJ are your next 3. If DJ isn't in your top 5, then I don't know who you're looking at.
Yeah.
So
if you're going Madden rankings, I would think he's got to be in the top 5.
Yeah, and it's late in this. You hate to see it. You don't want to be hurt coming down the stretch. You want your guys. You want to be as full strength as you can get, but you deal with the hand that you're dealt. It helps that they're playing a team that is a bad offensive team. Now, that bad offensive team ran up and down the field against them. The only thing they couldn't do was push it into the end zone that much. 16 to 10 game didn't seem like it was that close a month ago, but we shall see. Bengals offensive keys here. Could hopefully get the right slide. Hey, there we go. Take advantage. I'm talking about the Bengals injuries. Bengals get a chance to take care of a depleted secondary through injury and through stupidity. Minkah Fitzpatrick is out with I believe a knee injury. Trenton Thompson is the reserve safety. He's out with a neck injury, and DeMonte KZ is suspended for the rest of the year. Not just season. Regular season. They won't make the playoffs, so we'll call it the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm fine.
More than anything, just due to a accumulation. I mean, he's had, I think, 5 or 6 fines throughout the season, and then the absolute shot that he put on Michael Pittman was sickening. I wasn't watching the game, but I was seeing a lot on social media, and I watched the video. I'm like, I'm glad that they immediately chucked him from the game, and then they ended up suspending him and upheld the suspension. I mean, he tried to appeal, and they denied the appeal, so he's out. So Bengals get a depleted secondary to play against, and that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Especially with Cameron Hayward, who was in concussion protocol. He's cleared, and he's good to go for Saturday. So at least you have the back end that's going to be softened up and everything. You absolutely need to take advantage of that, which again hurts having Jamar out, but we'll deal with it.
Weapons. Yeah, we still got guys.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is why they drafted the guys that they drafted this year for depth. So, do you think that Yoshi's going to have a bigger role? I mean, he didn't have a huge role while T was out. He made plays when he was given the opportunity, but they didn't increase his role. But do you think he might start getting the bigger role, or are they just going to keep rolling out Ti, which is kind of a waste to me? But that's what they do.
I think you're going to see a similar I don't think you're going to see a huge increase in his role. I think they're bringing him along slowly as to not so that they don't expose. But I don't want to make it sound like I don't think he's going to be a good football player. But it's kind of the same way they're bringing Chase Brown along, in my opinion, and how they brought along Miles Murphy. I mean, they've kind of showed this template. Dax Hill as well. I just don't see them diving all in, and then you kind of hinder the player's confidence level of, can I be a number 2 receiver? I think they'll still take it slow with him. I don't see a huge uptick for him.
Probably not. And I'm just you get hopeful. You fall in love with the guys. You always fall in love with your backups. Like you see traits, you see him do something in preseason, whatever, and you're like, oh my god, this guy is the greatest guy ever. I mean, for crying out loud, Steelers fans were talking about how great Kenny Pickett was because he had a perfect 158.3 passer rating through preseason, and we see how well that comes out when the spotlight comes on. But with the injuries and everything, at least he's gotten snaps, he's gotten ability. Charlie Jones has gotten a handful of snaps, so they'll at least be part of the game plan. I like Trenton Irwin. He makes plays, but he's very limited. He's not fast. He gets covered, like he gets open because other guys are getting double and triple teamed. Whereas I think Charlie Jones has the speed when he uses it. God, he slowed down. He had a touchdown. He had a walk-in touchdown. It looked like that Browning overthrew him until you watch the video, and he slowed up because he didn't think that the ball was going to come his way once he hit the safety. The safety squatted, sat down on the route, and then he had to kick it back up into gear. By that time, Browning had let it go, and he couldn't catch back up. That being said, he has the wheels. Like he can get open, and we know what Josivas can do with his size and speed combination. I've been saying it all year. I would love to see him and T on opposite sides running both verticals and throw the ball up for either one of them. I think that's going to be impossible to, it doesn't matter who your safety is, unless you have safeties that are 6'3", 6'4", they're not going to be able to out high point those guys, and they've got to pick and choose. So
I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, I completely agree. I'd love to see Yoshi get some of it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So, second key that we have, do not let TJ Watt dictate the game. He's going to get a sack. He's going to have at least one, probably two cheap shots that probably won't get flags because his name's TJ Watt. I think that with them using more rollouts, kind of moving, purposely trying to move his, trying to move Jake Browning's release point and moving a spot off the ball, I think that's going to help. But again, you cannot let this guy. I mean, last year he absolutely ate Joe Browning's lunch. He had 2 interceptions off tip passes. He won game, week 1 for him. I mean, that was an awful game. Steelers didn't even play well, but they won the game because he absolutely just took over and had sacks and interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, just don't let him go off early. I mean, I don't care what you do. I don't care even if the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter you don't move the ball, extremely well. Do not let him make a game-changing play where he picks off a pass and it becomes 7. Worst case scenario, make the Steelers drive the football. Don't let Watt make a game-deciding play.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, again, even if you're not moving the ball, 3 and out, punt the ball away. Do not, especially with it being in Pittsburgh at Acrisure, you don't want that crowd all pumped up. You don't want them jacked. You don't want to hear them blaring the shit out of Sticks. I still, again, I've known this for years. Them blasting Renegade by Sticks as their hype song is the funniest damn thing. Sticks isn't they're not the worst classic rock band. They've got a couple songs that are Renegade's fine, but no one hears that song. It's even when that song came out in 70, whatever the hell, no one listened to that that song. No one listened to that thong. I've got Cisco stuck in my head. No one listens to that song and thought, wow, man, this is going to get me, this is going to run around like my pants are on fire.
I was going to say, I think most people do listen to the thong. You know what I mean? I think.
That's what's in charge. And the third key, we touched on this a little bit. who's stepping up in Uno's absence with Jamar being gone at least this week? Who are you picking? Who do you think is going to step up?
I think it's a cumulative, and I would go with I think the tight end room needs to continue to do what they do and step up. But I think you need to see Tanner Hudson with his, 5 for 55, but you need to see Drew Sample with 4 for 32, and you need to mix in Herb Smith Jr. with 1 for 19. I mean, and then I think Chase Brown needs to have a couple catches as well. I think the screen game, I think you'll see some of that. So I think there's just some easy throws that need to be made, and then also with that, it neutralizes that pass rush when you're screening them. That quick twitch off the ball gets a little annoying when you throw the ball quickly 30 times in a row and you have no chance to get there. So I think it's a cumulative effort to me.
So let me ask, you don't see it that much this day and age. And obviously it has to do more with the fact that the running game is just less emphasized than it was 15, 20 years ago. Is the draw, like, how effective is the, draw play in today's game? Again, it's the same idea as the screen. You're taking advantage of quick reacting, fast rush ends coming off the edge to catch them out of position and find gaps. But am I wrong in thinking you just don't see that as much? Or
I think it depends on who you're playing. I mean, scheme wise, I think the Steelers would be a team that probably would be less effective against, just because they kind of let Watt handle the edge, and then the guys in the middle don't really concern themselves, as much with getting that pass rush, that middle pass rush. Now, if you're playing a team that tries to get that middle pass rush on the outside of the guards, then sure. But with the Steelers, with what they do, I don't love the draw play. I mean, I still think you can catch them in the right scenarios, but you've got to time it up well.
Yeah, and that was not so much asking like, maybe they should run that 10 times a game so much is just kind of a general question that it doesn't seem like you see that as much. And maybe it has to do more with just the schemes and everything. And again, you're running the ball less. So even just by percentage, you're going to see it a lot less frequently. So onwards to the defensive keys, you want to let you touch on these.
Yep. So first one we got is make Mason uncomfortable. And to me, I think the way you do that is to make sure that you make his key weapons uncomfortable. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take away Freiermuth. You gotta, which leads us into number 2, but you've got to slow down Freiermuth, because that's, for a quarterback, the easiest target, what's most comfortable, especially when you look at backups, tight end is where they're going to want to go. But the other part of that, I'm going to make George Pickens uncomfortable, especially early, because I don't think it's going to take a whole game of stopping George Pickens. He's going to stop himself. If you just stop him for a quarter and a half, he'll be over there bitching and crying on the sidelines by 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
This is a game that I wish that Cam Taylor-Britt were healthy, because of his 100%. Very physical play and his ability to get under the skin. I mean, see what happened to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and to me, if I'm the Bengals, I make sure that Pickens does not catch a ball for the first 20 minutes of this game. I don't care what you have to do. You do not let him catch one ball the first 20 minutes. And then the last 40 minutes, you can single cover him the entire game, and he'll be a crybaby. I mean, that's just, I think you can win the entire game by winning the first 20 against him. So make Mason feel uncomfortable. I think that comes with a mix of coverage and pressure, because he's not a guy that reads super well, not a great quarterback. I think you can make him feel uncomfortable with you bring pressure early, and then B, play coverage later, and then his internal clock is now sped up by the pressure you brought early, because I think he's very susceptible to that. When you're playing a good quarterback, you bring pressure early, then you drop coverage late. Well, they'll just sit back here in the pocket for 10 seconds. They'll figure it out. Mason, I think you can speed up his internal clock with how you use your pressures. So I think mix it up a little bit, keep him uncomfortable, and the Bengals will be in a really, really good spot. Spot number 2, we kind of touched on this already. For the love of God, cover Freiermuth. I do not want to hear the Muth. I'm so tired of being when we play Pittsburgh and hearing them call out their tight ends, because it never ends.
Muth.
I mean, it's mind numbing.
Throw it to Washington, because I don't think you can come up with something obnoxious with Darnell Washington.
Oh, I promise. I promise you, Pittsburgh will find a way.
Absolutely.
If he becomes a tight end, they'll find a way to annoy me. So just don't let him get started. Don't let him. But he's a guy you have to cover all game. I don't think there's a way around this. You've got to prevent his touches. You really do. You prevent his touches. The other thing preventing his touches does is it makes Mason Rudolph not throw it in this window here right in front of you. It makes him throw to the outside. If Mason Rudolph's throwing the ball outside the hashes, let's ride. Let's play. So I feel good about that. The other defensive key, and we talked about this earlier, what concerns me is now they can game plan for DJ Reader being out. The D-line's going to have to show up in a big way, and it's going to have to be a multitude of guys. I mean, they're going to have to, it's going to be a band of, I don't want to say misfit toys, but, maybe just little puzzle pieces that haven't necessarily fit together just this way. So they've got to find a way to get that puzzle to fit to where they're not getting gashed. I think they can definitely do it. But it is going to take some game planning, and if you're going to trust somebody to game plan, it's Mr. Anarumo. So I like the Bengals' chances here, but they do need some things to fall their way, and I think they got to be smart in the way that they try to do it.
To me, I think on a larger sense, and the way to stopping the Pittsburgh offense is scoring on Pittsburgh's defense. I think that the game script, for the first couple drives is so important. I mean, it's important every week, but I think especially this week, if they can come out and put 10, 14 points on the board by the end of the first quarter, that's putting the ball more in Mason Rudolph's hands. And there's not a lot of game film on him recently. He threw 6 passes or 4 passes. He 6 passes on Saturday and hasn't thrown anything else since 2021. So you're having to go back a lot of time to see what he did and what he didn't do well. Obviously, he didn't do a lot well, which is why they drafted Kenny Pickett last year. But the more that you can put on his plate by, again, if you can take away the threat of the run game, that's going to help coverage against Pat Freiermuth, because the linebackers aren't going to be sucked in. Play action isn't going to be as effective. Hopefully, they'll be able to carry him further downfield down the seam to keep those intermediate passes going to him like absolute just. I mean, those were handoffs. Like the game a month ago, those completions were just handoffs. It couldn't have been any easier if they tried.
And you're saying scored 10 or 14 in the first quarter. I think 7. I mean, 7 against the Steelers right now. If you get a 7-point lead, the Steelers feel like they're down 14-21, without question. I mean, their offense is in disarray. I mean, their quarterback situation is in disarray. What is working for them right now? I mean, Mike Tomlin just set up an extra press conference just to bitch about George Pickens. I just think if you get a lead, if you can get a 7-point lead, the Steelers are going to think they're down 14. They're just going to feel that way because they haven't scored in what seems like an eternity.
Yeah, and that's, again, regardless of points, just get out and get some points on the board. And again, if you can get the offense going, then you can maybe get the run game going because you're converting third downs. Yeah. The more you're able to run the ball, and again, the Bengals aren't going to run the ball more frequently. If they're running the ball more attempts, it's because they just have the ball more. And unless it gets to the fourth quarter and they're just trying to salt the game away, like the Colts game a couple weeks ago, anything to get TJ Watt to get Highsmith on their back heel, so they're not jumping the passes and able to beat around. I mean, that's Bengals offensive line has been playing really well, especially the interior. The interior took a lot of lumps earlier in the season, deservedly so. They played poorly. Karras wasn't playing well. Capel was playing pretty poorly, and Volson was playing like a second-year fourth round out of a tiny school. All three of them have absolutely picked the game up. Volson's been fantastic.
He's been lights out. I was going to comment on that myself. I mean, Volson's been incredible.
I would be happy. I am happy as hell to eat crow if he becomes a legitimate guy. I just, for those reasons that I said, nothing against him personally. He's an old prospect. He was a mid-round pick from a small school, playing 1AA FCS competition. Those guys rarely succeed, but I'm happy as hell to be wrong. I want every player, all 53 players signed to a Bengals contract to play their ass off, regardless of which way they come. It's just, I hope I'm wrong, but
well, and we've talked about him being a low ceiling guy. Like he's got a high floor, low ceiling.
Yeah.
The last 4 weeks, he's played above what I think we would have set that ceiling at.
Yeah.
So more power to him. I mean, he's done it, so he deserves the credit.
Yeah, and he's going to go up against Cam Hayward and a really tough defensive front. And if they keep playing as well as they have been, I think the Bengals win going away. Again, we'll get into our predictions here. Didn't have them record them because I'm terrible and forgot to have them record them. They're both predicting tight scores. Nate wants to watch the world burn, so he picks 21-20 Steelers. This is your last time that I'm asking for your opinion.
Here you go.
Yeah, you're I don't think you will. I don't think I'm ever going to want you on my show again, Nate. I love you, but nah. Sorry, dude. Tim's got a little bit better thoughts. He has 27-23 Bengals. Again, similar thoughts. It's I struggle to see the Steelers. Again, I know the Steelers offense went up and down the field against the Bengals. I think a lot of that was because the Bengals offense wasn't able to do anything, and defense just got gassed.
Yeah.
I have Bengals winning 24-12. I don't see them getting into the end zone.
Yeah.
I see him. I see kicking 4 field goals, and Bengals. I don't want to say like a laugher down the stretch, but I think it's going to be a stress-free fourth quarter, and again using the depth, and they've done a great job using everybody. They've thrown passes to 4 tight ends in multiple games. You've got so many wide receivers, especially without Chase. There's his 5 to 8 to 10, however many targets he's going to get. They're going elsewhere. They're not all going to go to Tee Higgins. Yeah. I think just the sheer depth of the skill position players, Bengals just have enough to you're not going to know who to double. They're going to have some slip coverages because they're down 3 safeties. They've got another safety that's questionable. I don't know if he's a special teamer, and I can't remember his name now, but they I don't know who they have left to play safety. They're going to bring back Rod Woodson, Troy Polamalu. Troy Polamalu, I think, would still get a pick 6 and a couple sacks against the Bengals. That dude was a player. I hated the Steelers, but my God, man, that guy just made plays. He might be
the Steeler I like the most. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick him.
Yeah, and I mean he's wouldn't be that old, all things considered. I think he'd be roughly early 40s, my age-ish. I think he and Palmer were roommates at USC, and Palmer was 79. So yeah. He's not too old, but so yeah, stay away. You'd wreck the game somehow, even though you're old and been retired for 10 years. Again, I've got Bengals 20-12. Greg, what do you have?
I have Bengals 17, Steelers 16. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't. I can see Pittsburgh trying to cut the lead late. I can see this at 17-9. I could see, and they score a touchdown late, maybe a 17-15, 17-16 final. So I do think it'll be a tight game. And maybe to the typical standards of these last couple Bengals games, it's kind of one of those boring games. I think you're going to see a lot of defense. And I think if the Bengals do this correctly, then the Steelers score no points off turnovers. Just don't let them score points off turnovers. And you know what? The Steelers defense can play great, and we score 17, and that's cool. Just don't give them points off turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely agree. If just make them go the length of the field. I don't see. I mean, Najee Harris. I mean, again, they ran the ball well. Harris had a really good game against the Bengals last month, and Bengals are now down DJ Reader, but they're not going to be able to go up and down the field 4 or 5 times. So just even when the Bengals don't convert, even when the Bengals aren't scoring, drive the ball to the 40, drive the ball to midfield, punt it down inside the 20, and make them go. Make them hope to get field goals. So I think that's absolutely the key. All right. We have some viewer mail questions. It's been a while. I haven't put out a call for mail in a while, but we got some responses. A couple of them. Tim, our good buddy Tim Daniel, actually sent me a question on text before I even put the call out. So, his first question: power rank these 3 touchdowns in Bengals history. First is Jerome Simpson. You're shaking your head at Tim. Or what are your thoughts on Tim jumping the gun?
Well, I mean, the Steelers. I'm just trying to think of good moments, and it's just so hard. But
first one, I'm jumping in the other one first because the one that he
shaking my head at that one. Go ahead.
3 touchdowns in the Bengals history. Jerome Simpson end zone flip. 2011 Week 16 versus Arizona. Went to dive over the defender. Defender clipped his feet. He did a full 360. Stuck the landing, which I think was the greatest thing. Touchdown number 2. AJ Green Hail Mary juggle versus the Browns. That was Week 7 in 2016. Again, just a scrum at the end of the half. Throws up. We know how great his hands were. He was a juggler. Just tipped 5 times, juggled it, and brought it in, put the Bengals ahead, and they ended up, I think they won 31-17 in that game. Those were bad Browns teams. The Bengals team didn't make the playoffs. I think they were 5-9 and 6-9-1 or something. Like, that wasn't a great year, but they're still good enough to sweep the Browns. And then the third is Tee Higgins' touchdown last week. What do you have as number 1?
I think number 1, I would have to go with the recency bias with Tee Higgins last week. I just watching that play live. I mean, that was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen. I cannot tell you how incredible that was. That not only that he caught it, but when he went over, just what an incredible play. So that would be my number 1. Do you want me to go through my 3?
Sure, go ahead.
The number 2 for me would be the Jerome Simpson one, just because that was freakishly athletic. And I would have to unfortunately put AJ Green at number 3, which I love AJ Green, but the Jerome Simpson play was, I don't know that we've ever seen anything like it in the history of the NFL before or since. I don't know that there's ever been anything quite like that. Jerome Simpson, where'd he go to college?
Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers.
Well played, sir. Well played.
It was Grayson. They're not crap. My wife's best friend lives in Conway, South Carolina. Lives outside Myrtle Beach, and we've been down there a bunch of times. So I do know that. That's I was going to say Grayson. That's their quarterback, Grayson McCall. That's what I was thinking.
Grayson
Never mind.
McCall's their quarterback. Yeah,
was their quarterback. He's
he transferred, right?
He's in the portal. I don't know if he signed with anybody yet, but I know he's in the portal.
Yeah,
he's got to be like 30 years old. I feel like he's been around there for forever. I thought he threw passes to Jerome Simpson.
It's got to be close.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think I have to echo your rankings. Never mind recency bias. Look at the moment of the game. I mean, that was a turning point. Like, if he doesn't get that, again, there was 45 seconds left in the game. If he doesn't get that, the Bengals score a touchdown that drive, game's over.
Yeah.
Again, the athletic ability, again, him coming up and high pointing a ball that's what he does. Like, those are great in and of itself. But then again, the wherewithal as he's being tackled, falling backwards to reach out, having the Inspector Gadget long ass arms, it helps that he's 6'4", but be able to reach the ball over the pylon and into the end zone. Just absolutely, yeah. That's short list one of the greatest touchdowns in Bengals history. Again, Jerome Simpson. Again, yeah, probably. I'm going to switch. I'm going to go with AJ Green only because that put them ahead at the half. They ended up winning the game, and I can't rank AJ Green last. He was too good of a player. Simpson's going to go third only because it was going to be a touchdown any which way. It was just kind of the cool, awesome athletic ability to land the flip afterwards. It's a weird game. I pulled the box score up. Bengals were up 20-0 at halftime. That catch made them put them up 17-0. They ended up having to hold on. They were up 23-0 at one point and ended up only winning 23-16. So that play wasn't as big in terms for the final outcome, and you didn't need the landing or anything like that. Worst case, he catches it, he gets tackled at the 1, and then you run it in the very next play. So we'll put it that way. His second question: favorite Bengals Steelers moment in their history. I don't call it a rivalry because it hasn't been much of a rivalry. Steelers have owned and eaten the Bengals lunch for most of the 55 years of Bengals history. It sucks. It's sad. I hate saying it, but it's the truth. Yep. But they've still played, 100-ish times. Favorite moments. His low-key underrated favorite, he says, Kevin Case-Faharn picking off Ben to clinch the game in the 2005-2006 season. But I think that was the game in Pittsburgh when Hushmanzada was on the sidelines shining his shoes with a terrible towel. Anytime you can defile that yellow piece of toilet paper, aces in my book. I am happier and shit on that. Yeah. I'm going to go first on this and probably steal everyone's thunder because it's the easiest one. But TikTok star Juju Smith-Schuster getting absolutely blown up against Von Bell a couple years ago, 2020, and Jordan Evans, I think it was Jordan Evans who picked up the fumble in the Bengals. Was that a Monday night or a Thursday night game? It was a Monday night game.
Yeah, it was definitely a primetime game. I remember that for sure.
I'm sure they were happy as hell to have a primetime game with Ryan Finley as your starting quarterback and not the rookie first overall pick Joe Burrow, who's out because of injury. So, what's your favorite Bengals Steeler moment?
I'm going to echo what you said. That made me so happy. I despise Juju Smith-Schuster for doing all that nonsense. Listen, I don't have a problem with you doing TikTok and doing all that stuff. Do what you want to do, but you got to be a guy. If it's going to be bigger than you, you got to be a guy. So I got to know you're a guy. Otherwise, I just think you're selfish, and I think you're Cam Newton. And then you're just not a good football player. Juju's not good enough to do that stuff and make it bigger than him in the game. So I despise Juju Smith-Schuster for that. So I love seeing him get jacked up. That was awesome.
Yeah, Terrell Owens going to the Star at Texas Stadium when he was with the 49ers after a touchdown, and then going back a second time before Roy Williams came off the bench and blew him up. Terrell Owens was a dude. Like, that's a guy that, like, if you're going to be a guy who's going to be dancing on another team's midfield logo, like, you have to be Terrell Owens level to be able to do that. Juju Smith-Schuster is not that guy. He's on his third team in 3 years. He's a bum. He's an asswipe. Chiefs weren't too sad to let him go, and the Chiefs have no wide receivers. So to see that they weren't, that they had weren't too interested in bringing him back this year, that says a lot about the guy. So, next question. Adam Foskey asks, do Bengals go all in next season and run it back with a full team, or do they retool, i.e. trade Higgins, let some other key free agents walk, and try to maximize the next big window under Burrow? What do you, and secondly, and this kind of question goes kind of hand in hand, by Joey Gaditza, do you think the Bengals will tag Tee? He hopes he finds a way to keep him around next year. So we'll kind of roll these all in since they're kind of similar.
Yeah, I think the Bengals absolutely go all in next year. And yes, you franchise Tee Higgins. Worst case scenario, you franchise Tee and then you ship him off. I mean, that's absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because he has value, you have the cap room, you automatically franchise him, and you can pick up a pick, you can add things to it, you can get all kinds of things done. The other part of the aspect to me is, I know we still have a lot of steps to go, and I hate to say this, but if Jake Browning continues to play the way he is, there's going to be some more trade chips there as well, going into next year, I would think. So I think the Bengals have some real possibilities. I think they can do some things in the draft. They've drafted well, and they're young guys. I mean, you would expect them to continue to get better. And we're not talking about, 2 rookies that are playing. We're talking about a bunch of them, and they've all played pretty well. So for me, I think the Bengals are I think they're 6th in available cap room projected for next year. They're in the top 10.
There's a lot. There's like $85 million, I think, available, even with Burrow's extension.
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm the Bengals, I'm absolutely going all in. As we've seen, you don't know how many years you have with Burrow. You don't know. You just never know. So anytime you have a chance, and I think if the Bengals were fully healthy right now, they may be the best team in the AFC. So fully run it back. I'm not saying that Tee will be on the Bengals roster, but yes, they'll franchise him. They might ship him out. I don't know. I wish Tee the best. I hope they get an extension done because I think he's a dog. But I do think if you franchise Tee and he's got to go, there are some options in this draft that are real deal options to replace him right away for really cheap costs. If you can franchise Tee and trade him and your first and move up into the top 10, and now you can draft Malik Neighbors from LSU, and now you have him on a rookie contract, I think you've got real things cooking, and you still have all that cap room. So, I think they have to be all in, and Tee definitely has to get tagged, and we'll see what happens after he gets tagged.
What do you think they do with Jake Browning? And he's an exclusive rights free agent. He's not going to sign anywhere. If the Bengals sign him to contract, he's a Bengal. I was on Jeff's show the other day, and he was of the thought process of trading him with T to be able to get a first round pick. And my thing, and my response to that was, I don't think you're getting a ton of value for Jake Browning, because any team willing to give up good capital is a team that's going to be drafting pretty high, and they're just going to draft a quarterback anyway. Jake Browning is going to be a 28-year-old with 7, 8, 9. Who knows what happens the rest of the season. A handful of starts. I don't know the last time that's actually worked, a team trying to acquire a veteran backup to have them go in, and unless they're trading a mid-round pick just as a bridge starter, if they're going to draft someone in the first round. I just don't know how much value he has. You've seen Matt Flynn when he was with the Packers end up. I don't know if he was signed or traded. I can't remember how he ended up.
He was signed. Yeah.
Okay. Matt Castle, when he filled in when Brady was injured, and he ended up getting a deal. But these aren't trades. Like these, I don't think that Browning's going to get much of a return to justify giving up what's apparent a solid backup quarterback.
I think there's some mid-range teams that are going to be on the prowl for a quarterback. I mean, a couple that come to mind: Vegas. Are you riding with Aiden O'Connell? Are you riding? I mean, Jimmy G. I don't think they want to run that back.
I think they blow it up because they've been going with mid-tier guys. I mean, Derek Carr wasn't even a first-round pick. They haven't spent draft capital on a good quarterback since Jamarcus Russell.
Well, the other one that comes to mind is Minnesota. I mean, obviously going back to where he was. Minnesota,
I think he burned that bridge.
I don't know, man. The sweetest way to rebuild that bridge is pay the guy and let him start and win you games. I mean, and he did say that he wasn't specifically yelling at anybody in their organization that's there now. So
yeah, everyone turned over since he was with their organization.
I do think that makes a little bit of sense. You're talking about two teams there that both have 6-7 wins, so they're going to be up there a little bit. I do think there'll be teams out there that will be interested. Now, how much return are you going to get? I don't think Jake Browning. They're probably not going to get a first rounder, but if he pulls off a Nick Foles, I mean. Sure, maybe you do get a first rounder. I don't know. Maybe the Bears trade the number 1 pick, but still want a quarterback, and they say we want Jake Browning. I think there is a lot of things that'll happen. Somebody's going to be interested in Jake Browning if he continues to play the way he's playing. Somebody's going to be interested.
Yeah, and I don't. And my point wasn't that he's not going to be. His services aren't going to be wanted. It's more of I don't think the Bengals are going to get the value off of dealing him than they'll have with keeping him on the roster. Because again, this is now 2 out of 4 of Joe Burrow's seasons where he's finished the season on season-ending injured reserve. Not that he's injury prone, but this season is saved because Jake Browning has been able to come in. Is Drew Plitt doing that? Is AJ McCarron doing that? I mean, AJ McCarron has not thrown an NFL pass in years. He did great in the XFL, but I value having a low cost, and yeah, his low price tag is going to be very attractive. He's in 2020 after next season, he's a restricted free agent, so he's still not hitting the open market. I just don't think Bengals don't trade guys away. Yeah. I can see them, and I'll go into my answer for the question. I can see them tagging and trading T because they can upgrade, and I think the team. I don't know if they're going to retool or run it back. It's going to be kind of a guys are going to leave. Tyler Boyd's gone. I just don't see any place to where they bring him back. They can get better. Like they can get better production than Tyler Boyd. He's looked old and slow this year. He's had some brain cramps. They win the Texans game if he catches the goddamn ball.
Right.
Again, he's had a hell of a career. I'm happy for every moment he's done for the Bengals, but bringing him back doesn't make any sense. Again, tagging, keeping T around the field, that makes sense, but it also makes sense to trade him and either move up to get a higher draft pick or get a second round pick. We know how much the Bengals love draft picks. I think even with T's down year this year, I think he's still going to get at least a second round pick in return. Reader is a free agent and he's hurt. I don't know what's going to go on with him. Mike Hilton, Cheeto Uzie, those guys are free agents.
Yeah,
they're going to be. I would love to see them keep Mike Hilton. I would love to see them keep Cheeto. I don't think they keep both. I don't know. I don't know who you value over the other. Maybe it's you offer both similar contracts and see who signs, but they've also drafted really well in the second round to replace cornerbacks. Now, they haven't replaced Mike Hilton because he's the slot guy and is a totally different animal, but
not as easy to do.
They're not going to go all in. If they were interested in going all in, they'd make trades at the trade deadline. They're never going to do that. They're never going to try to mortgage anything down the road. So that's right out of here. But I think it's going to be a different looking team.
But don't you think you can retool and?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
I think we're on the same page. I think they're going to retool. I think the team's going to look different, but I still think they're going to be all in. I mean, they're going to.
They're not. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be expected to win 10, 12, 13 games next year because when you have that quarterback, this is what you have to do. That quarterback's contract is going to get bigger and take a bigger portion, so you have to reallocate where you're spending money. Bengals have a ton of money to spend next year. I think I'm going to bet that their draft focuses on offense. Last year they focused on defense. Year before they focused on offense. I think the draft is going to be on offense. I think free agent money is going to go towards defense. Again, they just defense hasn't been good, and they have some holes that are going to need patching. So they're always going to try to maximize every window with Burrow. I mean, his entire career, he said the window's his career, but they're not going all in and running it back with the same guys that they have. It's going to be a retooling, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, last question we have is from renowned Steelers lover Nate Dotson. Asking how you would power rank the AFC North head coaches. This is a good one because it's a
very good question.
Yeah, there's not a bad head coach. I mean, I don't know how to even how to start on that. So I'll let you answer that. Do the hard work, and then I'll piggyback off yours and steal your thunder.
Who's the head coach in Cleveland?
Stefanski.
I wanted to make sure I still had the right name. It seems like they fire somebody every year, so it's hard.
I know.
To remember. Oh, I mean, this is tough, and I do think that I'm going to look crazy in this, but I'm going to go, and I despise this guy as a head coach because I think but I'm going to go Harbaugh number one. I think you almost have to. So I'm going to go Harbaugh because Baltimore, even no matter what happens in Baltimore, they're always in the thick of it, always, and not just like the Steelers where they just are barely above. They're always in it where they can actually make noise. So I'm going to go with Harbaugh, even though I disagree with some of the stuff he does, and I think it's really stupid, like the preseason nonsense and some of that stuff. I mean, but I will go with him as number one because the one thing you never see from the Ravens is you never see lack of discipline. You never see lack of emotional control. You never see laziness. You just don't see it. I mean, they're always on the same page. So I'm going to go with Harbaugh number one. I am going to go Zach Taylor number two. I think Zach Taylor doesn't get enough credit for the locker room atmosphere that he's created in a place that, I don't know that we've ever had a locker room quite like that, or at least it's been 30 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Zach Taylor number two. I'm going to go Stefanski number three. I do think he's done some good things in Cleveland, and I think he's done some good things in Cleveland while maybe having his hand forced a little bit in ways that he probably would have said, I don't think we need to do this, like Deshaun Watson, 5 years, $230 million guaranteed. And then I will go, and I think he just finds a way to win. I mean, he just gets Joe Flacco, puts Joe Flacco in good spots. So I do kind of like some of the things he does. I'm going to go Tomlin number four. Because clearly he's lost control of the Steelers locker room. I don't see him in control of their locker room. And I think more incredibly, the Steelers kind of mantra or mojo is gone. And that has to be your fault as the head coach because they had it for 50 years before that. So I put Tomlin at four.
Okay. I'm going to match your 1 and 2. Obviously, Harbaugh, again, I hate saying it. I don't like the Ravens, but I respect the hell out of them. They have injuries every year to frontline guys, and they overcome, and they rarely bottom out. They bottomed out 1 year and were able to pull Lamar Jackson out of that. Again, I've got Zach Taylor at number 2. Again, I mean, let's look at postseason success. Let's look at the atmosphere that the team, like you said, the atmosphere, the camaraderie that they have in the locker room. The number one guy, the best, most talented quarterback Bengals have ever had goes down this year, and in a season that's kind of been a struggle to begin with, and they're playing better. Now, I'm not going to be that asshole that was on Fox Sports one that was questioning Joe Burrow because Jake Browning is playing well in his absence. Did you see that or hear anything?
I saw some clips of it or whatever. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to entertain nonsense.
Better yet, why don't you credit the Bengals coaching staff for being able to scheme up, or however you want to call it, be able to come up with game plans that take advantage of Browning's strengths.
It cries out hater. I mean, that's all it does. It cries out hater.
It's or just dipshit just trying to say something. I mean, when they drafted Burrow, that the argument was he needs to pull an Eli Manning and just say he's not going to play for the team. That the team's going to drag him down. Now they're trying to say that Burrow is carried by the talent.
Right. Well,
so Bengals organization is so shitty.
That same dumbass would have said when they were doing the Burrow deal, "Oh, we got to sign this guy. We got to sign this guy." So that's complete nonsense. So are you telling me you wouldn't have signed Burrow to the extension, Mr. Big Shot? I mean, that's just such a stupid statement.
Right. First, this is the place where quarterbacks go to die. Never mind that the Bengals have literally always had a franchise quarterback, with the exception of a handful of years in the 90s. Go from there. This is an awful organization to now Burrow's being carried, by the talent level. Like, just keep moving the goalposts, okay? It doesn't matter. Anyway, third place, I'm going to put Tomlin only because he has postseason success. It's overplayed that he's never had a losing record, because I think it's coming this year. I don't think he's necessarily a good coach today as of December 22nd, 2023. Right. Again, they've always had inmates running the asylum, as it were. I mean, Antonio Brown, they've always had assholes that especially, they're mostly whiteouts too. That's divas. So this isn't anything new. George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, like the effort that those guys don't show when the ball is in their way. I mean, we saw, again, Bengals-Steelers game last month. There was a fumble pretty much right at Deontay Johnson's feet, and he just stood there and looked around while the play is going on, when he could have picked up the fumble or made a tackle. This past week, Jalen Warren handoff to him around the edge, and George Pickens just standing there instead of putting a block in. And then after the game, it was saying he didn't want to get rolled up like Tank Dell did in a block. No, you're just the douchebag who's whining because you're not getting the ball. Last has to be Stefanski, only because lack of postseason success. And I think he's a good coach. This isn't anything against him. It's more of just this. There's just a lot of good coaches. And obviously, we're going to, I don't want to say overrate Zach Taylor because we're Bengals fans and this is a Bengals show, but we understand the bigger picture as to where, as to his ability, as to like what's, what he's done as a coach. We're always going to quibble. Like when it doesn't go well, everyone's always going to bitch about the head coach. It's always going to be game plan or the play calls and stuff like that. And we've had our fair share of complaints about the game plan and game call. And it's when you have Joe Burrow and you're struggling to get points on the board, when you're having lulls like that, it's going to happen. But he is a really good head coach. I think he's probably the best head coach that they've had since Sam Weish.
Well, and you were talking about Tomlin with the inmates running the asylum, that they've always kind of had that. And I think you're right. And I think that is kind of, it all is kind of coming to a head, and it's all Tomlin's fault. You let it happen for all these years, but the only thing that got you out of it was you were just highly talented. Yeah. And now that you're not, now it's a problem. Well, that's what winning cures all. So you were running it incorrectly before, and now it's just kind of happening. So that's why I put Tomlin 4.
Anytime you can put the Steelers in the basement, I'm completely cool with it. So
done.
Exactly. I think that pretty much beats the hell out of this episode, Greg. What do you think?
I think we're there. We're just ready for a win.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts before we get out of here for the week?
Who Day. Merry Christmas to everybody. Everybody stay safe. Enjoy your family. Merry Christmas to everybody. And thanks for tuning in with us all year. And we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
I have a better question. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
No.
Thank you. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
It was a summer blockbuster that was released on, actually, my wife's birthday, on July 12th,
it's not
1989. It occurs on Christmas. It could be a retirement party.
Yeah.
It could be a Halloween party. It doesn't matter. It's that's just the setting.
I would put Elf up there. Christmas Vacation.
I'm a Scrooged or Christmas Story guy myself.
Okay. Yeah.
We watched
that. And I'm all right with that.
So, again, everyone, join our family, patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. Go to our site, riverfrontcincy.com. Check out the awesome merch we have. We have articles by our awesome Riverfront U team covering NKU, covering UC, Xavier, Miami. Again, check out Late Night Reds. Actually, Late Night Reds is done for the year because of they're not doing shows on Christmas Eve. They're not doing shows on New Year's Eve, which it's fair, I guess. Everyone will probably be too wasted to be able to talk live on air, which actually might make a more fun episode, but regardless.
late Night Reds.
Exactly. Tim and Ben always do a fantastic job. Riverfront Red Show. Watch my boys, Nate Dotson, Chad Dotson. I'm not sure. I forget who they have on this week. But always they do a hell of a job. Again, if you guys are on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that fun shit. Outside of that, everyone, Hooday, Merry Christmas. We will see you all next week. Bengals are going to win. Bengals by 90. We'll just say that. Bye, everyone.